Cool beans, cool beans. So we have another interview question. Describe an incident where you handled from identification through resolution. What were the challenges? So first and foremost, we have to identify what the incident is. So in this case, we're going to say that we have a Kubernetes cluster that was exposed to the internet, right? Exposed to INT. That's probably not the correct abbreviation for internet, but incident and identification kind of go hand in hand. So when you say how you identify this incident, you received an alert saying that there is external IPs or external communication between a test environment, AKS cluster, no, a Kubernetes cluster. And the way you go about similar, the way you go about investigating this is that you would look through the Azure activities, active. You want to look in Azure activity table logs because this is where you can find network policy changes. You want to identify whether this is just a normal misconfig or if this is an insider that's looking to open up your environment to the internet. By the way, your clusters or your Kubernetes clusters being exposed to the internet is not the best practices. That's why we have this alert triggered. So we want to look into Azure activities. We want to look into Azure diagnostics. And this is all to just find more information on what the specifics is. And in this case, we're going to say that there was a misconfiguration when deploying this specific Kubernetes cluster. So the next step after this is you want to contain this. You want to reach out to the people that have the permissions to this specific resource. And this can be the DevOps. And this is where your notes and your communication skills come very, very handy. You want to identify which cluster it was. You want to identify what the exact cause of this alert is. And you don't want to just go ahead and do the containment yourself where you're isolating resources that are very crucial to the environment. So be wary of that. Reach out to the DevOps engineers or whoever is in charge, right? And I think eradication, recovery, this all are connected because once you find that specific YAML file that has the misconfigurations, misconfigs, you can work with them to make the correct changes, make sure that the resources are following the best practices of deployment. Now, there are obviously challenges, and obviously this was just a quick overview. This isn't really that much into depth. That's why I have like small notes. But when you look at the challenges of this whole issue, because that's the second part of this question, right? What are the challenges? The challenges is time, right? Finding these misconfigs within the YAML files, it takes a lot of time, especially with when you have dependency on logs. Maybe your logs aren't the best. Like maybe you don't have all of the information. Maybe there's misconfigurations within receiving logs in your environment. So maybe this is just a maybe. Maybe logs are an issue. Another issue can be permissions, and this is tied in with the time because you don't have the permissions to go ahead and isolate this specific cluster or even make the configuration changes in the network policies to make sure that it's only communicating with the internal IP addresses. So permissions can be an issue. And I really want to emphasize time because as you're communicating with different teams, it may take some time to get things going. It may take some time to actually get this whole process fixed. But I would say these are like the top three maybe challenges of this specific situation. But obviously, this is a very simple overview of this question and this incident. But there definitely is a lot of effort when it comes to like issues like this. Essentially, best practices are keep your test environment or your prod environment all away from the internet. So that's also, I would put that in recovery as well. Maybe communicate best practices or do better training and best practices. But I hope you guys like this video. I'm going to upload this onto LinkedIn as well. I think this is a very good question. But yeah, thanks for watching.